Nydia here, and welcome back to the Social Reconstruction Initiative. We educate everyday leaders about trauma prevention and recovery. Today, we're talking about enmeshment, so let's get started. Enmeshment is when a relationship between at least two people have blurry emotional boundaries or dysfunctional communication patterns. It can occur within families, extended families, and close-knit communities, and it can lead to enmeshment trauma. Many individuals who have experienced enmeshment do not become aware of it until adulthood. Enmeshed literally means to become entangled in a net or have difficulty escaping a difficult situation. Symptoms of enmeshment are difficulty making plans independently of a parent, sibling, or spouse. Dreams, hopes, and desires are put on hold to appease or cater to someone else's needs. There are spoken and unspoken roles to support your family of origin, and there is no end in sight. Deciding to move to another city or state would be considered abandoning the family and is discouraged. You have difficulty bearing the emotional consequences, such as guilt, when you disappoint and are not able to meet the requests of others, especially your family of origin. Making choices that are not approved by the family of origin are met with reactions of excessive concern, with attempts to intervene or change the decision you have taken, and it is incredibly difficult to have an opinion that is outside the family way of thinking. You feel you must hide your differences in order to be accepted and avoid rejection. Growing up in an enmeshed dynamic can lead to trauma. Enmeshment trauma can look like one or more of the following signs: anxiety and fear, guilt, shame, self-blame, withdrawing from others that are not part of the enmeshed family of origin, difficulty forming romantic relationships, feeling sad or hopeless, feeling disconnected or numb. There are even a few ways enmeshed dynamic shows up the most often. Here are 3 key relationships where you might witness or experience enmeshed dynamic. Parent relationship. The most common type of enmeshed relationships are between parents and children. Here are a few examples. Overly responsible for parents' emotional well-being. You might have grown up in an enmeshed dynamic if you were made to feel guilty for making them upset, if you felt you had to walk on eggshells, or spent a lot of energy avoiding setting off a reaction from one of your parents. Parental intervention. You might have grown up in an enmeshed dynamic if your parent had attempted to set limits on your personal decisions, such as dating, job decisions, and even marriage beyond the age of 18 in the United States. Adult child syndrome or Peter Pan syndrome. You might have grown up in a enmeshed dynamic if you lack self-confidence and feel a need to be constantly surrounded by people. Adulting feels too stressful or too hard, and here's a big sign: you're over the age of 18 and still dependent on your parents financially. This condition can affect anyone, but occurs most often in men. Romantic relationships. Many times, a person who grew up in a enmeshed dynamic can carry over these tendencies towards creating a similar dynamic in their marriage or relationship. So here's an example. A man with Peter Pan syndrome might be looking for someone to mother him or take on the responsibility of making adult decisions. A woman who grew up compensating for the emotions of her parents might assume a toxic role of being responsible for her partner's feelings or rage. Enmeshed couples typically do not differentiate or individualize their moods, so if your significant other is not happy, you have the inability to be happy until your partner is happy, and vice versa. Your emotions become one. This dynamic burdens one or both partners with a sense of guilt, anxiety, or failure if they do something to upset the other. These couples also tend to have a blurred sense of identity and refrain from taking on new hobbies or making friends apart from their partner. Child relationship. Individuals who were raised in a enmeshed dynamic can create the same dynamic with their kids. For example, Peter Pan syndrome in your kid. For moms or dads out there, Wendy syndrome is those parents who act as overprotective to their child. For example, doing your kid's homework, their school project, helping them clean their chores, or here's my favorite, submitting your child's college application on their behalf. Parents, don't do that. So how do we heal? 3 steps. Number 1, set small boundaries. These boundaries can be emotional or physical. An example of an emotional boundary is to limit oversharing information to those who may leave you feeling anxious or insecure about your decisions. An example of a physical boundary is spending some time by yourself, reading, doing something you enjoy without your partner. Start differentiating yourself by establishing activities that are unique to you and/or a different friend. Number 3, begin using your voice. Speak up for what you like and set boundaries on what you no longer wish to participate in. Practice putting emotions into language and self-acceptance. That's all for today. Please hit like and subscribe and the bell to stay tuned for more videos. And be sure to drop a line in the comments. Bye. See you next time.